And what is up, world? We are back. Marvelous Talk Land. What is going on with you? And we're definitely going to jump head in first and deal with the things that we were dealing with because we were right there. But before we do, definitely make sure you like and subscribe. Like us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube and Twitch. So when we go live, you'll definitely know that we are there. Max, if you would just go ahead, man, and recap this episode of Obi-Wan.
I'm getting deja vu, but okay, I will try. So this was the shortest episode of the season so far, 38 minutes and some change. And it's really an action-packed episode. There's not a lot of character development. There's really not much. We start off, Obi-Wan's been rescued by Tala and the droid. And we see Leia. She's being held in the Inquisitor's place. It's a fortress. And we see that they're trying to torture her, trying to find the path and how all these Jedi and all these people are getting out. She won't give in. Even as like a 10-year-old kid, she's stubborn. She won't give in. Obi-Wan, he sets off to rescue her. It's a suicide mission, but with the help of Tala, he finds Leia. But before he does, he just finds basically a tomb of all the people they've captured, just encased in what looks to be amber. And he's horrified. But he is successful in rescuing Leia after she was being interrogated by the third sister. He kind of regains his force. He kind of, the blood starts flowing. He breaks the glass. There's some cracks, but he gets out with Leia. And you see at the end, Darth Vader is pissed at the third sister. But she informs him that Darth Vader is going to do an episode 4. So maybe this was the inspiration. She let them go and put a tracker in Leia's droid. I can't remember the name of the droid. What is it? It's Lola. There's a tracker in Lola, and as they jet off to what they think is freedom, Lola beeps, and she's being tracked by the Imperials. It was an action-packed episode, but I want to hear your guys' thoughts.
What gets me, Max, about this, man, is, dog, how you not know that you're being tracked? That should be a standard thing in every spaceship. Did they track us?
That's not Leia's fault. She's a 10-year-old. There's two people who need to step up.
In all of these space movies, I need to know, hey man, that should be protocol. We should do a tracker sweep when we get away just to make sure that we're not being tracked. That should be a whole thing. Boba Fett did it. I mean, people just be tracking folks. I mean, you know what I'm saying? And it doesn't make sense to me. That's standard protocol. Get your space protocol together. It gets on my nerves. But about this episode, though, honestly, I really thought it was solid. I thought it was solid on a lot of fronts. Number one, the comparison in the Bacta tank. You know what I'm saying? The having Obi-Wan in the Bacta tank and then having Vader in the Bacta tank, almost like they could feel each other both being in the Bacta tank. I thought that was dope. You know what I'm saying? Sean G, did you get that same feeling when you saw him in the Bacta tank?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's a definite connection that's, old connection between Obi-Wan and Anakin Skywalker. I think one of them is because he feels like he failed. Obi-Wan's like, my connection is I failed, I lost you. To where, Anakin's is, I hate you, and so like the minute that they feel each other, man, it's like, man, and it's almost like they're tormenting each other through the Force. They're playing that back and forth game, as they're in the Bacta tank. So it was a nice little throwback, or callback all the way back to the first Star Wars. I think it was Empire Strikes Back when we first saw the Bacta tank on the big screen. So they keep going back. They went in The Mandalorian. They went in Boba Fett. So now they're doing it again. So I like the callback.
You have a good memory, man. When you think, because I'm thinking about that. Luke was the one that was in the boxer tank, right?
Yeah, Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, that's a good memory. I straight up forgot that. And then the fact that you had Leia, really not, give in. She was like, bossing it. You know what I'm saying? She was like, nah, look, I ain't telling you nothing. And it was slick how she said, oh, we're all on the same side, right? Let me tell my father first. We're all on the same side.
Kids out there, this is the reason you don't snitch. Snitching is never the right answer. It's almost never the right answer. And Leia proved it. We got to see O'Shea Jackson Jr., aka Ice Cube's son, was awesome. He was cool.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if Ice Cube deserves to be in the Star Wars galaxy just in general. It just looks weird to see him in the Star Wars galaxy, but he was good. I liked what he did. It was cool.
I love what he did. I actually absolutely felt what he did. O'Shea Jackson Jr. is a good actor, man.
Yeah.
He's a good actor. Really good actor.
Hey, did y'all know that the torture device that they use for Leia is the exact same torture device that they used in Empire Strikes Back when they was torturing Han Solo? I went back and looked at it when I had an opportunity today on my phone, and I was like, "Oh man, that's the same. They doing the same stuff." So there's a lot of Easter eggs that's tied to the old movie, and so I get that one too. So I've been on the Easter egg hunt as far as the show goes, just to see what
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that, G. And then Max, when you said he kind of got his swagger back a little bit, I was laughing when he was on the plane shaking. He was on the plane shaking, trying to get the thing. I'm like, come on, Obi-Wan, get yourself together, man. Get your nerves together, man. And then, it was good for me to see him throw a distraction in the other room and move something and make a noise for them to go hear it, the stormtroopers to go hear it and take off. I was like, okay, all right, he's starting to get his sea legs back, and definitely, I think.
I got a question, and this is a question to Max. Max, so Mustafar is where Vader's at, right?
Yeah, that's his home base.
So where the Inquisitors at? That's the same galaxy. That's like a moon.
So yeah, basically, it's like imagine Mustafar's Earth. And then the moon's another planet. It's just habitable. Okay. So Mustafar is probably the center of it, from what I understand about it. And there's a bunch of smaller worlds surrounding it. So I guess the Mustafar, has its own little universe, and there's all their planets, and they just travel there. Okay. I don't know. It's all in the same galaxy. I know that, but they're all interconnected and crap.
Okay, yeah.
And it's honestly the opposite of Mustafar. It's a water world, which I thought was interesting too. Kind of. So you guys talked about the yin and yang of Obi-Wan and Anakin in the first scene with the Bacta tank. Yeah. So I guess the water is another thing they do. And Obi-Wan, like, he finally showed what he was Obi-Wan. It's still not there. Like, I just want to say he's like, 60% of what he was. But he was still whooping the stormtroopers, and he could have whooped the Inquisitors if they even dared to fight him. And they escaped with some help. And, it didn't pay to help because Sully went down. His girl got out.
Yeah, I wasn't sure about that reference, man. And I didn't know if Mod knew or not. I didn't mean to cut Mod off, but I wanted to know that for myself. Because I understand. I'm a fan just as much as I like it. So I was like, man, I know Max knows the answer to this question.
I think when it comes down to this episode, and when he was like, when he was Obi-Wan was like, yo, you're soldiers now, you know what it feels like to lose somebody, you know what it feels like to fight in combat, you're soldiers now. And I think this is the birth of the rebellion. You know what I'm saying? This is the birth. This is what we're seeing, the birth of the rebellion, right? So here's my question, you guys. Reva has played this thing to the kill. Okay. And she has used every bit of leverage and every bit of tricks and every bit of lies that she could use. Do y'all both agree with me that she's about to get offed in this last episode? Well, this is the 5th episode, but the last episode, I think she's gonna be off.
No, we got 2 more. Yeah, she is playing a dangerous game. She's counting cards at the casino, and the pit boss is staring at her. And Vader is like, "You mess up." He was gonna kill her. And again, I think the way they depict Vader just shows like, "Hey, I'm basically 2 tiers above you guys." Like the Inquisitors look strong, and Vader just toys with them, and he was gonna kill her without a second's hesitation.
Yeah. No, he told her, I told you what about failure was gonna do. Like, if you're gonna play this game with me and you're gonna jump in this game with me, understand it's high stakes. And if you lose, I'm taking it all. You know what I'm saying? If you win, you get what you want. But if you lose, I'm taking it all. You know what I'm saying?
Do you guys think we're gonna see a flashback episode? Or
I think that's what we're about to get next.
Because we got 2 left. So it's kind of like it's got to be in there somewhere. We saw Anakin for like a brief second. We saw Hayden Christensen not in the armor for a half a second.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if we are going to get one or not. I think they're trying to move the story along. I think that the issue is going to be, do the Inquisitors survive? You know, because the way Vader is now, or Anakin Skywalker is now, he's on a massive killing spree. I went back and counted, and he done off like 5-6 people already, man. You know, and he's ready to get it in. So he's on a hunt right now, because it's all about Obi-Wan. So I don't know if matter of fact, I don't know if none of the Inquisitors make it through this. You know, I think anybody who lets Ben Kenobi get away, and because he doesn't really know about Leia. He knows, but he don't really, like, he don't know that's his daughter. But anybody that don't let him get to the end game and off an Obi-Wan Kenobi, it's a wrap. He's killing all of them, man.
I think you're right.
Yeah. So here's my predictions. Before we switch gears. My predictions for the last 2 episodes of Obi-Wan. I think this episode is a flashback episode. I think this is the episode where we're gonna hear Qui-Gon. I think we're gonna hear I don't think we're gonna see the ghost, the Force ghost. I think we're gonna hear him first, right?
Well, I don't think he can. I don't think he can become a Force ghost. I think he only knows how to be heard. He can't project himself. I think what's going to happen is, I like the flashback angle. I'm just going to build off what you said. I think Anakin and Obi-Wan are going to hear Qui-Gon together, and that's going to shake Anakin. Because right now, Anakin's like trapped in Vader, and he's like 100% trapped. So maybe that'll loosen him like 10%. That's it.
Well, I did some research, and I wanted to see if the team would talk to about this. You know, that whole thing about where those Force sensitive and Jedi was captured, man. I went back and like dead and like in a tomb, and Obi-Wan walks through the tomb. You know, I was like, man, I didn't really get that until I actually went back and did the research on it, man. And I think that is going to break loose some stuff for both of them, because what I found out is that when midichlorians are all gathered up in one place, whether they're dead or alive through Jedi or Sith or Force sensitive people, you're allowed to do stuff that you normally can't do. And I found out that shot or that scene when Obi-Wan was walking through the tunnel, that was like, man, you know, that's like a throwback to all the other shows and all the stuff. So I think that there might be some focus on him seeing that and being like, wait a minute, they got all these midichlorians and all this stuff right here. It's a trap for Jedi to come to try to get them, because they don't know if they're dead or alive. But I think that actual scene shook some stuff up in both of them.
Yeah, but I don't think. I think that was just a scene. I think it was just a scene. I think it was just a blip on the radar. I really honestly believe that we're going to get that flashback scene. The reason why I think we're going to get that flashback scene is I think what's going to happen is Obi-Wan's going to be thinking about they're going to find out that Vader's coming, and he's going to be thinking about, how am I going to beat Vader? You know what I'm saying? How am I going to beat Anakin? He's stronger. And then he's going to remember, okay, he knows all my moves. Let me not be like that. You know what I'm saying? Because he trained him. So he knows what he can do and what he's doing. So I think it's going to be that whole thing. And I think Qui-Gon is going to kind of come to him in this episode. And then the last episode, I think Reva's going to die. I think Reva's going to get hauled out hauled out in anger. Like, I think Vader's going to like haul out and like John Big G said, like with a whole bunch of anger and malice, he's just gonna hull out, fold up like a Coke can and throw it. You know, it's really gonna be some bad stuff for Reva. I think she's out of here. But that's my prediction. What's your prediction, Max, for the last two?
I think there'll be a flashback just because I find it hard to believe Hayden Christensen would sign on to do the show and just be trapped in armor the whole time. So I would imagine he's going to have some appearance. And I think Reva and Vader are going to come to odds. We know Obi-Wan's going to end up back on Tatooine. I think Leia's going to understand who he is in the Force, even though it might not make a ton of sense when you look at episode 4, how she talks. But I think there was going to be an ultimate moment where Qui-Gon, Anakin, Obi-Wan, the guys who like are bound together, are going to have something, and Anakin's kind of maybe like appear, not Vader, if that makes sense.
Let me ask you, why do you think Qui-Gon would appear to Anakin?
Not appear, but just hear, because I remember in comics he's heard his voice. He's heard Qui-Gon's voice, and if Qui-Gon had stayed alive, Anakin wouldn't have fallen to the dark side, because Qui-Gon would have embraced everything negative about him. And that's what he needed. And that's why even Palpatine knew Qui-Gon had to die to get Anakin to turn.
Gee, what are your predictions for the last two?
I can understand it as far as them setting up the plot, man. I just think something real big is going to happen outside of Qui-Gon. It's got to be. So we haven't had a climax yet, right? And with heroes, you got to get them into trouble, and then you got to get them out. So there's trouble been throughout the whole episode. He's fighting Vader, right? But the issue is like, what's going to happen to him where there's just no possible way he can survive, right? I think that's when you're going to see Qui-Gon do some stuff or come like to the rescue for Obi-Wan, because he understands and knows he's just not strong enough to deal with it. So I think we're all on the same page, but how it goes down is, maybe a little bit different.
The in between, yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
So switching gears a little bit, we had a new thing on Marvel, on Disney that came out with Miss Marvel. Now before we even get into the review, I have to say this. I don't like, it's not that I don't like Captain Marvel. Okay, I like Captain Marvel.
Here we go.
I just don't like the movie. I didn't like the movie. You know what I'm saying? The actors, she kind of gets on my nerves, but the character, Captain Marvel, is very necessary. But I didn't like the movie.
Captain Marvel top 10 comic book movie, but just that's just a little side.
No, absolutely
keep going. It's a top 10.
We've heard this 100 times.
Yeah. Go ahead.
That being said, go ahead and do the review, Max. Go ahead, review it.
So we start off with Kamala Khan, who is obsessed with superheroes. She's a 16-year-old girl. She's about to get her license. Yeah. More on that later. She fails in spectacular fashion. She's at odds with her parents, and it's not like she hates them. It's just an identity crisis. Her parents are old school. They're from Pakistan, I believe, and that's what they've mentioned many times in there. So she's kind of facing identity crisis with being in America and keeping to her parents' old ways, and they're very protective. They don't let her out. She wants to go to Avenger Con with her friend Bruno, and she devises a way to get there. The first episode's slow. It's basically your high school girl can't figure out what to do with her life. She's awkward. There's a moment where her and Bruno lock eyes, but nothing happens. And she's looking for stuff for her costume, and she finds these 2 bracelets. And she's like, these are pretty sick. So she takes them to Adventure Con. She goes. She's trying to compete in the cosplay contest. And the bracelets reveal she has powers, and everything goes awry at the convention. But she saves someone's life. And then we're kind of just left off. Did I miss anything big?
No, except for you didn't miss anything. But there's some things that I want you guys to see. Number one, it's loaded with a whole bunch of Easter eggs.
Captain America's butt was my top Easter egg. That's America's ass, everybody.
Oh, God.
Ant-Man.
Ant-Man's podcast. That was big. That's how the world found out about what happened. And apparently the whole world found out about how everything happened and Thanos was beat on Ant-Man's podcast.
That has to be the number one podcast in the world. Yeah. Joe Rogan, watch out. Marvelous Talk, watch out. Dude, he's got to be rich now, Scott Lang.
Scott Lang is
dude. I thought it was interesting. You see a lot of mentions to Tony and Natasha. I mean, Black Widow, and they usually talk about them, but they don't show the characters. But they showed like the mural, like thank you. I thought that was cool to see. That was really cool.
The Big Meat, Little Meat name of the podcast. That's crazy.
So I have a couple things I want to just talk about real quick. One, so the scene where her parents are letting her go, and they're like, "You can go with your dad." He dressed up as Hulk. How awful of a daughter was she in that moment?
She wasn't.
I thought she was
I thought, dude, her dad went all out to try to like go with her and connect. He was green. I was heartbroken. He was into it.
Max,
she was terrible.
I have a 20-year-old, a 21-year-old, and 23-year-old daughter. I've been there 150 times going through the process of my daughters maturing from children to teenagers to young lady and now women. And so I've been there and I get it. It wasn't, that's normally what happens. She's at that age where she's trying to be independent. And so I didn't think she did anything wrong at all, personally.
I thought she broke her dad's heart in front of us. I was like, dang.
I absolutely felt like that she broke her dad's heart, but I understood it. I didn't
I get it, but I was like, damn, my man's trying. He don't even want to go, but he's trying, bro.
Yeah, but the gist of the matter is that they should let her go. But I mean, I get it. I totally understand, where he coming from as a father. But he was horrible. Yeah, I mean, your outfit was trash.
No, I thought thought it was dope, man. He's not from this country. He don't know better.
No, listen, outfit was trash, and then the one that the mama threw at her was even more garbage. You know what I'm saying?
The amazing part is that the mom made it real fast. And if you remember, and now I'm throwing y'all Easter egg, I want y'all to pay attention to something. There's something going on with her mom that we ain't figured out yet. Like at the very beginning, where the dude, she was like, "Well, do you want dinner to go?" And he was like, "Yeah." And she walked out of the room and walked right back in with the packages and was all packed up. And she was like, "You do computers, let me do what I do." Right? And then she said she wants to go to Comic-Con. How in the world, unless she stayed up all night, how in the world did they make them outfits that fast?
Amazon Prime. Way. Amazon Prime, that outfit.
The gist of the matter is, the gist of the matter is, Big G, you on to something. You're cooking with grease, man, because the grandmother, Yanni, the grandmother is where the bagels came from, right? And I think she knew that they had powers, right?
Yep.
And I think she knew exactly what the bangle was, right?
Yeah.
She knew exactly what that bangle was. That's why she looked at it with disgust, took it from her, and said, "Hey, put this in the attic, like right now." You know what I mean?
Right.
And then she was like, when they were riding in the car, she said, "My whole family, it's my fault. It's genetics. It's in the bloodline." Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's in the bloodline.
There's something going on with the mom that I think as the show goes on, we're going to figure out. The mom's got some powers, or she's tied to some powers.
Well, she's way
going on with her.
She's way too overprotective. You know what I mean? Like, I get being an overprotective parent, but she was like, "You can't go to Comic-Con because everyone's dressing like this and the drinking." I'm like, first of all, everyone at that thing was a nerd. There was no drinking there. Yeah, they were probably had calculators in their pockets. So.
And pencils up here.
Yeah, exactly. But no, we're all nerds. So it's like, that doesn't happen and stuff like that usually. But, I wanted to hit on something. I assembled a list. I want to get your guys' opinion. I spoiled a little bit of it to G. In the MCU, driving isn't really something we should focus on. But I assimilated 5 top drivers in the MCU and 5 of the worst. Where does Kamala Khan rank in worst drivers?
She's the worst to me. She was
so that's what Sean was saying. I said I think there's a clear number 1. Doctor Strange is number 1.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he would definitely be number 1. He would definitely be number 1.
Kamala Khan's a close second.
Yeah.
And then what about the Sovereign? They suck at flying stuff.
Yeah, horrible.
And then I was stretching with this one. Star-Lord does crash a lot of ships.
Yeah, he does.
He does.
Yeah,
so how about who's the best? Give me your guys' best drivers.
Well, I told you off camera, Max. I'm telling you, I said it was Samuel L. Jackson, but then I went back and thought about something. It's really Rocket Raccoon. Rocket is a beast. Rocket can drive that spaceship, man. He's cold with it. So, you know.
Mod, you got anybody you want to throw into the best driver list?
Tony?
I got Tony. I got Tony and Happy because Iron Man when they raced through California, there's a lot of traffic. He had to be going at least 150 miles per hour.
Yeah,
so
Tony and Rhodey, you're in a suit. You know what I'm saying? I mean, come on. You got to be they're pilots. So I think they're really, really good drivers.
I got two dark horses. Shang-Chi Katie, when she whips the bus and hits that U-turn.
Oh, she's a great driver.
She's a great driver. You know, I don't want to say anything. Michael Pena Luis from Ant-Man when he's racing in the small car and it goes.
Oh yeah,
that was pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
I gotta give him props for that one. So
it
that's
was good.
Hey,
go ahead, John.
I got a question to ask you. You guys know about the big spoiler Easter egg of the show that I think is going to show us a whole bunch of stuff moving forward about them quantum bands or them nega bands? Do y'all really actually understand what's going on? And when the scene flipped and she was like around everybody and then she went into a different world and then came back out, do you guys really know what happened? Y'all get what's going on? And I wanted to see, because this is huge with the show and with the character moving forward. I just want to make sure that my team is all on the same.
I have an idea, but I would like you to flesh it out because you are the expert on matters like these.
Ma, do you know? Do you know what's going on?
Go ahead. Go ahead. It's your show.
I wish it was, but it ain't. We all in one. But this is the issue. The nano bands or the quantum bands. So she went into the negative zone. So for y'all that don't really understand what's happening as far as comic books is concerned, the negative zone is where guys like Annihilus comes from. It's where the Fantastic Four spent a huge amount of time. It's a different reality that exists outside of our current reality, but is directly connected. Area 42 is a prison that the Fantastic Four eventually make to capture and put supervillains in. That's also in the negative zone. So I don't know if they're going to make the reference to it be in the quantum zone, because because they're not just called always nanobands. Sometimes they're called quantum bands. So I don't know if they were in the negative zone or in the quantum zone.
Sean, did you ever watch?
The clock switched. Yeah, go ahead.
Did you ever watch Jessica Jones season 3 on Netflix?
Yes.
You know, at the end when they arrest Trish, don't they send her to they always talk about the prison in the zone?
Yeah, Area 42. They sent her to Area 42.
So I just wanted to allude to that to connect the dots for anyone who's out there who's watched Jessica Jones.
Right. So
okay.
So the deal is that they're connecting once again, and I don't want the people to get frustrated, but this is almost a 10-year. They dropped a 10-year subplot in 5 seconds. When she put on the band and that thing switched and there was people and their eyes was glowing and all whatever else, I don't know if that was the quantum realm or was it the negative zone. But either way, that's tying her directly to the Fantastic Four, directly to them. So, I mean, I'm just making sure that people are getting what's actually going down. They're laying cookie crumbs, so when it all connects, you'll get it. You'll understand really what's actually going on.
Two questions. Are we gonna see Rhodey and Captain Marvel together? Are we gonna see it? They had the Easter. No, I'm talking about moving forward in the MCU.
Oh.
They had Rhodey winking over there at Captain Marvel, and they kind of alluded to it in Endgame. In Endgame, when she was leaving, he kind of looked over there at her, and she looked over there at him, and then they backed off. So we gonna have now. You know the romance is comic book. It's comic book accurate. So we're gonna have this romance in the MCU.
Man, I can't think of a more unlikely couple, but maybe. I would say maybe. I don't know. I would say no. I would bet on no.
I'd say 60-40.
Why did they put it in this? Why did they put that?
People like us would talk about it.
Oh,
right.
So people like us could talk about stuff that's not even there that we think's there.
Hey,
right.
It's there. I see it.
No, it's there.
Hey, Max, Ma stays on the Mephisto train, so don't.
Oh yeah, Mephisto's behind this one.
Ma stays on the Mephisto train, man.
Bro, at some point you just have to get off. I got off like at the end of WandaVision. I got dropped off.
Listen, so second question.
Correct.
Second question. Who are we gonna see? Monica Rambeau, or are we gonna see Brie Larson? Are we gonna see?
I don't think we're gonna see any of them.
In this show?
I don't think we'll see either of them.
You'll see
really?
both of them. Yep.
What makes you think that? Just being a Miss Marvel?
So, well, I did some rabbit hole information and research. So Kevin Feige has been pushing. So originally, Miss Marvel was supposed to come out first. Like Miss Marvel was supposed to supersede WandaVision and all of it. The first show that was supposed to be on Disney Plus was Miss Marvel. But because of timelines and then wanting to finish productions and not knowing because of COVID, they just finished everything. But Kevin Feige has been salivating to get to Miss Marvel. And I'm like, okay, why is that the issue? Well, I watched a little thing that he did, an interview, where he said that you're going to see her and get her story. And then the next time you're going to see her is in the Marvel's show with Photon and Captain Marvel. So I think that you're going to see, I would be willing to bet that you're going to get, you might not see Photon, but you're going to get Brie Larson in this show. And I'm going to tell you something else. You just might get the Inhumans. You might. So we've seen in the trailers where these guys are standing in this mist and you don't know who they are and what they are. And people are like, what the heck reference is that? There's going to be some reference to some, because I think this is going to be the first Disney Plus show in a minute that's going to tie to a whole bunch of stuff. You know, people people have to start seeing the puzzle pieces connect. They have to. So I think now, and I think that's part of the reason why they held Miss Marvel back, because she's going to open up more or less Pandora's box about where we're going. You might see her direct references tied to Thor, but definitely direct references to the Quantum Mania, which is Ant-Man and the Wasp, and as well as the Marvels.
Yeah, I honestly asked the question because I really think that we're going to see Brie Larson. I think we're going to see Brie Larson. I don't think we're going to get Monica Rambeau, but we absolutely could. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I really think we're going to get Brie Larson in one of these episodes, whether it be the last one or the next to the last. So in the end credit scene, we had the end credit scene where the police officer was like, "This is some interesting powers. Let's go get her." How you think that's going to work out?
I think that's just the superhuman registration act, and they're just going to try to track down who it is. That's what I thought it was.
Okay,
makes sense, right?
I got a prediction. I might be right and I might be wrong. I think I'm 50-50 because I didn't want to say this at first, and I really, really thought about it. He might be a Skrull. The guy that's the police officer that's running the whole operation.
He was acting kind of shady, wasn't he?
He might be a.
That's pretty good.
He might be
acting kind of shady.
Yeah,
I like that.
I think he might be a Skrull, man. I really do. Almost. He's either a Skrull or he's tied to Hydra. There's something going on with him. The two people I know, without a doubt, on the first show that there's stuff going on with the mom and the police officer at the end. There's something shady going on with both of them. So,
something we don't know what it is. It's something shady, and it doesn't. He didn't seem right. He didn't seem right. He wasn't like, for that brief second he was on, he was like nonchalant and really didn't care. Oh well, her power. I've never seen powers like that. Well, let's go get her. Like what? What's going on?
And then he smirked the shady, like, yeah, I don't really know what's going on. I got all these, these folks.
Right.
But can I say this about the show too, man? And this is just to the people that watch our show. Fans, people that watch Marvelous, people that love Marvel movies and all whatever else. please get used to the diversity that they're going to continue to push and put on the screen. I read so many reviews today that just punished this show because they didn't like the religious undertones with some of it. They didn't like the fact that she was Pakistani. They didn't like the fact that they said Assalamu alaikum. You know, and I'm telling you, I read like I was literally sitting in an office or in a waiting room and reading reviews. And I was like, man, this is like ridiculous. You know,
I think it's awesome. Personally,
yeah.
I think representation is awesome, and I think it's awesome in this sense. I never want someone to feel forced. Like, I'm Armenian. There's no Armenian superhero. I don't want them to make one just so there is one. I want somebody to come up with one because they want to, not because they're forced to. I have no issue. She's Muslim. She's Pakistani. I think that's awesome because, one, it hasn't been touched in the MCU. And I hope, like, who cares? It's just a character. It's not a real person. Who cares?
Right.
Like, it can be anything it wants. If she wanted to be gay, they can make him gay, whatever. It's like Eternals. Wasn't there which movie did Marvel have where they had a gay scene in it?
Eternals.
Yeah, Eternals, right? Yeah, he had a husband. He had a husband. So what? Who cares?
Yeah.
Why is it news? Why is it news?
Tell a story.
Tell a story. Whatever. Not everyone has to agree to like certain stuff. Like, I don't like the Celtics. F them.
Well,
that was too much. That was I don't like the Celtics. But I don't hate. That's my opinion. It's not a big deal. Who cares? They're right.
They're trying to punish Kevin Feige and exalt Stan Lee. And for those that are like true comic book lovers that love Stan Lee, we know that Stan Lee was talking about cultural diversity back in the 60s, man. What do you think
mutants were all about?
Exactly, the mutants. And Professor Xavier and Magneto was Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. So, and he in the comic books, they had multiple. What do you think the second rendition of this picture right here of Aurora Monroe and Colossus was from Russia,
yeah,
Africa. Banshee was from Ireland.
They had Commander,
Japan.
Native American.
Right, Nightcrawler was from Germany. You know, Wolverine was from Canada. So I mean, come on, man. This has been in the DNA for Marvel.
I thought Nightcrawler was from like Czechoslovakia or somewhere like that.
It's close enough.
Germany. He's from Germany.
Hey, wait, first of all, his name's Kurt Wagner. Come on, that's
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Come on.
His name's Kurt Wagner. So right. So it's been this has been built into the DNA of Marvel forever. So if you have to understand, if you're going to be a fan of this, you have to embrace everything, all cultures, all whatever.
But see,
go ahead.
It's New Jack City, bro. People don't know this. That's why we have to explain it. We have to explain it. That's why these shows exist, so that we can explain and break it down, you know, because you're dealing with people who didn't get into the comic books. You know, you're dealing with people who never had that comic book experience and really know, okay, Stan Lee really based this off real life and people who were not getting justice. And he kind of did that through the comic books. He wanted to explore a world that you could get justice in. You know what I'm saying? That had diversity, that had that whole plot going. You know what I'm saying? So I'm with Max. I personally thought the show was a 9 out of 10. You know what I'm saying?
That's not with Matt. Max thought it was like a 7, but I agree. The diversity was not an issue. I think that's the main thing.
Here's my thing. The reason why I say I thought it was a 9 out of 10, it started slow. I wouldn't give it a 10. It started slow, but I compared it to Roll Bounce because it had a story. It had a story. It is why I said it. It had a story inside that had a whole bunch of like good things about it. They were always like, you know, trying to tell a good story. Like, you know, they were always trying to give you some principles inside of what they were doing, but it was a story. You know what I'm saying? You were able to follow the character, sympathize with the character. They set the character up in a no-win situation. There was nobody, didn't have anything going for themselves, and then all of a sudden got superpowers. So now you're finna start seeing that whole world open up. And I thought it was dope. I thought it was super dope. I really enjoyed it. Watched it twice.
I can't believe you mentioned Roll Bounce on this podcast.
Hey, roll bounce.
Should there have been a roll bounce too?
Say it again.
Should there have been a roll bounce too?
Absolutely not.
Okay, good. I'm glad we agree on that.
Sweetness would have been too old. You know what I'm saying?
Sweeter's the second.
Sweetness. No,
oh my God.
You know what I'm saying? That's my guy.
But I gave it a 9 out of 10 because I love the way that they did it. They gave her powers right off the bat. She got it right off the bat. She got it. So now there ain't no mystery how she's gonna get it. Now we're gonna explore really what's going on, and then you're gonna add layers to the story. So I love that fact of how they did it. I love that. That was great.
All right. So parting shots. We got some parting shots. And I'm gonna let G go first because he's been chomping at the bit to talk about this one new trailer that we got. And so D, parting shot, it's yours.
Parting shots, 2 pieces, man. Piece number 1, you gotta go check out the Black Adam trailer. You have to go check that out because I'm telling y'all, I'm a diehard Marvel. I almost live and die with them guys. But Dwayne Johnson and the Black Adam just might save DC. This movie is on, from a trailer standpoint, is on par with Marvel. I was like, wow. I was blown away. You know, that's my first one. My second one is Black Panther 2. So there was a rumor that the trailer was coming out Game 4 on Friday. The guy from Marvel debunked it. Oh, well, then they came back out and said, that's not true what he said. So there's something going on with a Black Panther 2 trailer that I think we're going to see maybe in the next 7 to 14 days. And when they drop it, I'm not going to ruin it, but there's a character that oh my goodness, if they show him on the screen right off the bat, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to lose it because I have been waiting.
Which ain't hard. I mean, when it comes to Marvel movies, all you need to do is get touched a little bit. You over it. It's over. You know what I'm saying?
If DOOM or any reference to DOOM goes down, oh wow.
Well, they say that he started this whole conflict that is happening in Wakanda. So you know, there's a conflict between Namor and the Wakandans, and they say Doom had his hand in it, manipulating it the whole time, which is how Dr. Doom get down. And wouldn't it be crazy if this is Keanu Reeves?
I was just thinking that.
Oh, yes. Oh, my goodness, if this is Keanu Reeves, man.
Wouldn't it be crazy if this is Keanu Reeves? Because, you know, he got casted, and maybe this, I mean, we don't do that. Marvel don't do that far away casting, right? So this could literally be Keanu. And this was the role that I think he was born for. We had said this in earlier shows. We could see him being Doom. I
think he can be Doom, but I really still feel like he might be Ghost Rider. I just feel like he might, if they bring him in, if they bring that into the MCU.
Yeah. Max, parting shots.
I have 2. Morbius still sucks. It was re-released this past weekend in the 1,000 theaters. It made $85,000. It still sucks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That movie's trash. The only time vampires have been terrible. Not the only time, but in the MCU, at least Blade was good. And my second parting shot was well, we kind of talked about it. I just was going to hit on the diversity and how I thought it was cool. I'm Middle Eastern myself, and even though I'm not Muslim, I think it was cool to see in the MCU. And like everyone said, get ready for more. If you have a problem with it, you don't have to watch. Big deal. Like it's a TV show. Who cares?
Yeah,
right.
It's good to see. How can it be bad? You know, they're not preaching devil worship.
Right, correct. I agree, Max.
Don't watch it. That's if you don't like the diversity, don't watch it. Don't watch it. G, you had something else?
No, I'm just making sure that there's a lot of stuff going on. I mean, it's been stuff hitting all over the place. So even June 22nd has been confirmed as Doctor Strange 2 will be released on Disney Plus. Just like they confirmed today as well that the first R-rated movie for Disney will be Deadpool 3. And they gave Deadpool the catalog. They can pull any character that's owned by the MCU into the movie. And like the director went berserk when he got that clearance. So he was like, I can pull anybody I want. You can pull anybody you want. Pull them.
So my parting shot of the question, and I loved it. I got to hear you guys answer. So Scott Lang had a podcast. Who else in the MCU right now would you want to have a podcast? Who do you think would have the best podcast if they had a podcast?
I think Captain America's podcast would suck. It'd be about him complaining about, how gas used to be a nickel and how bad the German Nazis were.
Yeah.
I wonder who would have a podcast. Hulk? No, he doesn't seem like Thor would be like Joe Rogan, just like smoking weed and drinking and podcasting with Korg. That'd be cool. I'd tune in for that.
Yeah.
What other characters are there? With Nick Fury? No, he can't talk about it. He got too much. Too much.
I think the best podcast would be Deadpool. Deadpool would have the best podcast out of any Marvel character. Since Scott Lang had his podcast, Deadpool podcast would be number one. It would be number one because he would say whatever.
Yeah, but the kids can't listen to it. The kids can't listen to it. You got to hit everybody.
I got a podcast show that would be off the hook for Disney if it went down. Like as far as who had an actual show, White Vision versus Old Vision. Who's right?
That would be so dumb.
They would literally just be arguing like stuff we couldn't understand.
Yeah, it would be so dull.
Scarlet Witch could have one about people surviving PTSD, even though nothing's bad happened to her. She could be talking about her trauma.
You know who else would?
Wong would have a nice one.
Star-Lord would be crazy as
about retro music. Just talk about the greats from the 60s and 70s.
Talk about Flash Gordon.
How about Star-Lord and Rocket? Star-Lord and Rocket going at it on a podcast.
What would Drax's podcast be about? Just like he's just talking about lifestyle and how to pick up women.
Drax's would be horrible. I've taught myself how to stand so still.
Yeah, spying with Drax.
Yeah, spying with Drax. Yeah, so I mean, it's a great thing to think about, man. Who would have a great podcast? But you know what? We have a great podcast, and we thank you guys for hanging with us this whole time. And definitely, if you like what you have saw, make sure that you do us a favor. Like and subscribe. Like us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube and Twitch, so that when we go live, definitely you'll be there to catch up with us. For my man Max, for my man G, we are out of here. We will holler at you guys on Saturday. Peace.